The King James Bible is riddled with pagan interpolations, and it is not the best translation of the Hebrew Scriptures. Probably the best translation of the Hebrew Scriptures that I have encountered, and I speak, read, and write Hebrew and Arabic, that I've come across happens to be the Hebrew Tanakh. And the King James Bible is a terrible translation of the Hebrew Tanakh. If you want the best translation of the Hebrew Tanakh, then you go buy a Tanakh, and it has a Hebrew side and an English side on it. And the English side is probably the best translation you're going to get, unless you get a Hebrew Israelite who read, write, and speak Hebrew to translate this stuff to you. Now, the word hell is a mistranslation of the Hebrew word Sheol, which is the grave, a pit. Not the bottomless pit, but a pit that is usually around 6 feet deep. Okay? And the word hell is an interpolation. And what they did was interloped apart from Dante's Commedia, from Dante Alighieri of the 1300s, a book and a poem that was so powerful that it was used to teach the Tuscany language, okay? A very widely read book. And when Europeans translated the King James Bible into the Anglo-Saxon, pagan, Japhetic sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Magog, when they translated their scriptures into English, the Dante's Inferno had already been widely read and circulated throughout Europe. And that idea of his Inferno was interloped into the Hebrew, interloped from the Hebrew scriptures and into the English writing. The word Sheol means nothing more than the pit and the grave. That is it. The reality is that when you read the Hebrew Tanakh, the word hell is not mentioned nowhere in the Tanakh. And that's the best translation that you are going to get, a Hebrew Tanakh, translated from the original Hebrew by Hebrews and not by pagans. And the word hell does not exist nowhere throughout the entire text, which is evidence and proof that the word hell is a mistranslation and a pagan interpolation of the Hebrew word Sheol. Okay? And that is a fact. Okay? And this is why your translation and understanding should come from a Benzodaki, or one who follows the order of the Levitical priest and not that of the Pharisees, because it was the Pharisees who was first to interlope pagan ideas into Hebrewism, and then Christians followed, and then Muslims followed. If you were to read or to go back and study Dante's Inferno, you will see it mimicked all throughout Islamic scriptures when Islamic scripture talk about judgment and hell. You know, this is where this idea, you know, of Dante's Inferno, Dante actually extract his idea from the Quran, which was actually predated that, you dig? But the Hebrews and Israelites never understood hell or Sheol to be nothing more than the grave. It had nothing to do with an afterlife, and it had nothing to do with a punishment outside of death. Death is the eternal punishment. Shalom.